Hello, good evening, and welcome back. Despite local lockdowns being in force, COVID protests happening across the country, and Sweden not having a second spike in COVID deaths, as well as there not being any excess deaths across England and Wales since June compared to the past few years, what's been decided is a national lockdown next week. Boris Johnson bows to scientific advisors, which ones, and is set to announce nationwide coronavirus restrictions yet again after warnings it was the only way to save Christmas. Yep, so just like we had earlier in the year, before the masks came in, so now it's going to be the lockdown with masks as well. Apparently that makes the difference, although wearing masks since then didn't do anything, so maybe they don't. Almost as if the idea of masks is very fallible, given that there's actually strict protocol necessary for how you wear a mask in order for it to be effective, and people do not follow this, rendering them useless. But he's decided, no, that's it. We're going to lock down again, apparently to save Christmas. I'm not really sure how you're going to save Christmas if you're going to lose millions more jobs, so that people, of course, don't have the money or the wherewithal in order to plan for Christmas and have time together. That was the thought, yeah, you'll be able to visit your parents and your family again because we'll have the virus under control. So, well, yes, but they might already be with their family because they've lost their jobs and can't pay their rent or their mortgage. So great. You're welcome, wizard. Now it really is Christmas every day. So scientists from the SAGE committee presented number 10 with bleak figures showing pace of COVID-19 spread. Had they not already been discredited after Neil Ferguson being discredited holistically, entirely, not so long ago, or maybe a few months ago, and then himself, of course, stepping down, and it was his Imperial College London model that was so outrageously wrong, not only in COVID, but so many times before with like the foot and mouth, mad cow disease, swine flu, all of those where he was outrageously wrong. And then, of course, you got Tegnell, I believe it is, in Sweden, who thought, yeah, maybe we should use a different model, because his track record is the worst it could possibly be. And they did. And they've been doing just fine. And it's funny, of course, that initially went, no, this is the worst. And I was like, well, it's not actually the worst in the world. It's not the worst in Europe. It's like, yes, but compared to the Scandinavian countries, it's the worst. And they're saying now that, oh, well, it's the worst among the immigrant communities, because that's worse compared to the past few years in terms of deaths. So, well, you got high populations, and might you think that if this is predominantly down to vitamin D deficiencies, which it is, and the best place in the world for vitamin D is Okinawa, might explain why the average life expectancy there is 116 years of age, which is about 30 years higher than over here, might explain it. But also, for people who have darker skin, of course, that is from the melanin, and therefore they need a greater amount of vitamin D to be able to absorb as much as people with paler skin, because we've evolved different skin complexions based on different climates. So if now they're in a climate with less UV and less vitamin D, then of course they're going to suffer more when there's a virus that is mainly fended off through vitamin D. Makes a lot of sense. There's no racism there. It's just poor life choices. But you're not allowed to say that because they're brown. So, Cabinet source told Mail that the move to place country back in lockdown will be announced next week. And yes, of course, there's a rebellion saying, we shall never surrender. Britons never, ever, ever shall be slaves. The government now faces a critical weekend to determine the shape of the measures before an announcement. It's pretty straightforward. Do what they did before. Good luck with that. You thought the riots were bad already. But watch this. The Prime Minister and Chancellor Rishi Sunak are said to have agonised over the decision. Well, yes, you would have thought that Rishi Sunak wouldn't have agonised over the decision. He would have just said, no, as the Chancellor, as somebody who is concerned about people's welfare and jobs and the economy as a whole, which is a reflection of how individuals are doing, this is unacceptable and it isn't going to happen whatsoever. However, scientists, backed by Matt Hancock, what a surprise, and Michael Gove, said virus was on track to kill 85,000 this winter. But again, whose models are you using? Because if we delve into the details that are provided and comparing, obviously, the cases and number of deaths per day in the UK, and we can ignore the number of infections pretty much, because with testing going up, then you're going to have more cases. This isn't per people tested, this is just total a number tested. So if you are suddenly testing 10 times as many people, you can't really be surprised that you've got more cases like this. Number of deaths per day, well, that comes down to dying with COVID instead of COVID. So again, that's also quite misleading. But because we're concerned about how bad will it get and what predictive measures can we use, well, of course, the imperial estimate is the main one that's been used, which estimated that at present, the diagnosed cases would be 96,000. They're 24,000, which is 1/4, which for Neil Ferguson, actually only being out by a factor of 4, is really, really close, because at least he's not out by a factor of 1 million, like he has been before. So, well done to him for that. We're almost closing in. But should we actually acknowledge what he's saying and do things because of what he's stating? Not at all. Not even close. Should we just say, well done, Neil. Go have a biscuit. You've earned it. Now, please leave us alone. Yes, we definitely should. With his closed code that's 13 years old that he's not allowing people to review. Seems a bit suspicious. And then if you go for the World Economic Forum and the Great Reset and how they're openly stating what they intend to do, then you can kind of put the pieces together. And you don't need to say it's a big conspiracy at all. Simply say, well, this is what's been stated that they were trying to achieve for several years now. Openly, not hidden at all. And then what's happening now is in complete lockstep with what they wanted. As in, fewer people mixing, fewer greenhouse gases, less meat being eaten, and that's down to supply chains being interfered with or interrupted. Then you go, oh, it all seems to work. And then fewer people buying from high streets, but instead buying online, and a cashless society. Well, of course, we have to go contactless because of the virus. Then, yeah, this is actually exactly what they said would happen, and what they wanted to happen, and have been trying to make happen. So, not at all saying that coronavirus is a hoax, but I am saying that the idea of not letting a disaster go unused is definitely the quote of the year for 2020. And as we can see that yes, there have been changes to the number of cases, to the number of deaths even. The concern with this is, oh, well, we don't want the NHS to be overwhelmed. So, well, only 42% of the ICUs were in use last time we had at the peak. So, is there really a concern? No, there really isn't. Were the numbers increased because of older people being turned back into the care homes just to infect everybody else and then not get the care they needed because they were above 80? Yes, that definitely is the case. So is there a lot going on that trying to have a centralised planned economy is a futile exercise, as it has always been in the past and forever will be? Yes, this is no exception. Would it therefore be best just to say, hey, here's what we know, you might want to take care of yourselves, you've got to weigh the pros and the cons. If you do have enough savings, or you can rely on your family and friends to keep you going, then do that. If not, and you wish to work through this, then do so. Because, of course, otherwise, the alternative is you decide to not work through it, and either you'll have to pay it back later on, or your children will. So instead of saying that, we're saying you got to make your decision now. And you have to make it. Simple as that. Actually allow people to take personal responsibility. You're a right-wing government, you're voted for, on this premise, stop letting us down. Or call for another election. Why didn't you do a referendum? Of course you won't, because it worked out so badly for you last time. And when is Brexit happening, actually? But as always, let me know what you guys think down below. Always intrigued what you guys have to say. And liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, all that good stuff really helps this channel grow. Do be sure to follow me over on BitChute as well, as this channel does seem to be a little bit throttled at the moment. But, as always, most importantly, until next time, have a good one.